prevent, I mean, they certainly do prevent snow and rain from getting into them. What I want to show you now is a dramatization of what happens in an attic space. Now, this is the Lomanco famous smokehouse. If you haven't seen it, you need to schedule one of these demos with your CanCell distributor rep or the Lomanco area market manager. It's pretty dramatic. We take it all over the world, to trade shows, to the National Home Builder Show, to the National Roofing Contractors Show, any show that you can think of where you have contractors and builders there, we make sure we show it. And it is a dramatization of what happens in the attic space. Now, in this little demo, we have intake, under-eave vents, which is soffit vents, and I can replace them with different types of soffit vents, strip vents, cornice vents, or even perforated soffit vents. Now, on the top, I have the ability to put a ridge vent on, or over here I have another opening where I can put a roof louver on or a wind turbine. What I want to talk about today is ridge vent and how important it is to have an external baffle on it. Now, in previous discussions, we talked about external baffles and omni baffles, but I'm going to actually show you what happens when I blow roughly an 8-mile-an-hour wind over this peak and I put Lomanco Omni roll on there, or Omni vent, and what you should see is air being pulled in through the soffit vents and extracted at the ridge vent. Now, if I put a brand X on, what I want you to observe then is, one without an external baffle, is what happens at the intake. I think it's going to be pretty dramatic when you see it. So I'm going to turn the wind on, and I'm going to get, first of all, I'm going to put the LOR 30 ridge vent on top. And I've got the top plugged right now, so I'm going to remove the plug. And if you observe closely at the intake, I'm going to add a little bit more smoke. But you can see on the top how that Venturi effect is extracting the air out. Now at the intake, if you watch closely on these soffit vents, you can see this fresh air being pulled in through the soffit vents and it's being extracted up there. That's a good system. Now, if I replace that ridge vent, let's say immediately with a brand X, brand C I should say, what's the intake on this guy? Is it pumping air? I don't think so. It's going backwards, isn't it? In Canadian weather, if you're bringing in weather through the peak at any time, there's a good chance you're going to be bringing in snow or freezing rain. So what's the difference between these two? Again, it's this external baffle on it. Now, what's even more important is, if I fill this guy up with smoke again, and I turn off the wind. Let's say you had a calm Canadian day and there wasn't any wind blowing. Is there anything escaping from the peak other than a slight leakage around these end caps? It's little or very little that's escaping from that vent, which means it's laying up there like a wet blanket. So if I put this ridge vent on, the LOR 30, same conditions with no wind, give it a minute to start working, and you can see immediately how the air is starting to come out of the vent without any wind whatsoever. Now, as I add wind to it, the amount of air extraction in the attic goes up on an exponential with the amount of wind blowing. Again, if you'll observe these intake vents, you can see how it's being cleared out. Any of these other guys that I show that don't have an external baffle, most of them you see have filters. And again, if you see a filter in a ridge vent, it's a dead giveaway that it's getting infiltration, or why would they need it? It certainly doesn't enhance the flow of air out. So here's one that I'm going to put up there, and it is pretty obvious what's going to happen once you see it. And again, the telltale sign is what's happening at the intake. If you're forcing air out of the intake, that guy's becoming an intake on the peak. And again, that's why they have the filters in there. If you design it right, you won't need the filters. Now I showed you the LOR 30. Now I'm going to go to the 4-foot sticks that Lomanco manufactures. One of them being the 9-4. Again, it's in a 4-foot stick. Not only can it be used on comp shingles, it can be used on metal roofs, it can be used on shake shingles, and actually flat tile also, flat concrete tile. And lastly, if I use the OR4, and add a little smoke to it, again, you can see how fast it extracts the air. Now, the OR4 has a little slightly higher profile than the LOR30. That's simply because it's a 4-foot stick and we're going to hand nail it instead of gun it. But it also has a little bit more net-free area if there wasn't any wind blowing than the other one. I guess the next question that would come in mind is, well, the ridge vent. Now, how much ridge vent should I put on a house? How do I size a house? Well, Lomanco gives you all of the tools that you would need to size a house. Essentially, we use the basic industry rule, the 1 in 300 rule. For every 300 square feet of attic floor space, you need at least 1 square foot of net-free area ventilation. Half intake, half exhaust. And what we do, we have these little ventilation guides which are available free from Lomanco or from Cancel that will actually size a house. You put in how much square feet you're trying to ventilate, and you can pick a product, whether it's ridge vent or wind turbines or power vents or roof louvers, and it will essentially tell you how many exhaust products that you would need to ventilate that attic. More importantly, on the back, if you tell which products that you're using, like the LOR30, it will tell you how many intake vents that you need and the type that you would need to provide with the amount of ridge vent you're putting on there. Now, all of our catalogs also, on the back of them, will have this same guide. So it is available from multi-sources. I'd like for you to make sure, if this was interesting to you, please get in touch with your Cancel distributor and rep and have him schedule a meeting. We have some very good ventilation seminars that we talk about ventilation concepts and troubleshooting techniques. Thank you.